We are at it once again, ladies and gentlemen, at the Jim Creek RC Park in beautiful Butte, Alaska. A hazy Pioneer Peak looms over the race course for the 2019 Multi-GP Global Drone Racing Series, brought to you by ConocoPhillips. Today we have finished the qualifier rounds for the global qualifiers, so the last three races of the day will be mystery courses. Today will be mystery course number one as we're looking out at the flight line. It is a gorgeous day out there. As I said, there is a little bit of haze in the air, which is a little bit unusual for Alaska, looking at Pioneer Peak as it looms over our race course. A beautiful setup here. Folks, if you ever get the chance to fly in Alaska, come visit us here at the Jim Creek RC Park. We'd love to have you out, and you can see for yourself what a gorgeous place it is. There's Foggy Minded and Daverick FPV waving to the camera. Say hi, Mom. And we're just about ready to go. It's Mr. Geek FPV out there running a couple of practice laps to make sure the timing system is working. Everything's pretty good. We did have some rain just last night, which did help things out quite a bit. As I said earlier, the haze in the sky has been knocked down. Let's meet the pilots now for round one, heat number one. In seat one, it'll be FPV Slacker. That's Mark Slack from Anchorage, Alaska. In seat two, it's Hazard FPV, David Spencer, our season leader. And seat number three, the second place season holder, Foggy Minded FPV, that's Josh Erickson from Wasilla, Alaska. And in seat number four, it's Rim, that's Ryan Durbin, still looking to get 3 laps under his belt. He's got no season points right now, but we're hoping that maybe as he goes out throughout the day, he will find that 3-lap pickup. This is a bit of a shorter course as designed by Hazard FPV, as you can see there in the white shirt now, putting his quad down. Yeah, he's the evil genius behind this race course. As far as I know, he may have had some help from some of the other pilots out there. He's putting together the setup as he was putting together the course. So there's your 4 pilots just placing their quads and putting everything on the stands and getting ready for the beginning of round one, heat number one out here at the Jim Creek RC course. The rain did help a little bit, as well as keeping the smoke out of the sky. It's also keeping the dust down off the ground. As you may have noticed if you watched our last broadcast, you saw that a lot of dust out there. It's been extremely hot and dry here, unseasonably so for Alaska. So a little bit of rain does help things. It's going to keep that dust down. The only thing that we have to contend with today, other than otherwise perfect day, is the bees. There is a swarm of bees out there. There must be a nest nearby, as all 4 pilots have now seated from left to right. It's FPV Slacker, Hazard FPV, Foggy Minded FPV, and Rim. All the goggles are down, and let's toss it over to John Sam, who will be our race director.
I am ready.
Hazard FPV proclaiming his readiness. Thumbs are up now. And we're just waiting a tone for race number one of the day. Tone sounds and 4 quads are up. It is Rim getting into trouble, as you heard some clicking out there, just scraping the ground and bouncing and still trying to recover. He's on the ground once again and upside down, flipping the switches. It looks like he may be done. We'll come back to him if it does shape up for him. Meanwhile, it's Hazard FPV, not unexpectedly, well ahead of the pack here. His first lap at about 16.345 seconds. Foggy Minded FPV pulling on behind him at 28.998. And FPV Slacker still working on his first lap as well. So if you look at the times there, the fastest lap for Hazard is 14.496 and Foggy Minded at 28.998. Hazard getting about 2 laps for every one of Foggy Minded, so that's just how fast that guy is out there. Hazard FPV has been sweeping this season, all season long. He's only missed 1 heat as he crashed out in qualifying times earlier on in the season. Everything else he's gotten is 10 points for the win. As 52 seconds left in this race, FPV Slacker now having 1 lap down under his belt as well. At 55, he may indeed get 3 laps under here, and that's what you need to get the scoring. So 40 seconds to go on this lap. It's the same rules as we had before. 3 laps is what you need consecutively to get any points on the board whatsoever. And has an FPV Slacker just as we cut away. There's the course there. Ends up on the ground. You can see some of the rocks and gravel that we have to contend with out there. There is a lot of sand and grit. He's trying to get that thing right side up as Hazard FPV still just pounds through the course. It's kind of like his home course. He, he's already thought of it in his own mind. He's going to fly away and park his quad with 4 seconds left to go in the race. Foggy Minded still out there looking to pick up some times. It looks like about a 20-second time is going to be what we're going to call a good time out there. Is Foggy Minded left, the only one left on the course. And no longer is he on the course as he runs into a gate as he's finishing his last lap. He's going to give it a shot here to flip it back over and get that last lap, although that'll probably be one of his slower laps. Indeed, he does give that up. And that'll be the end of race number 1. Heat number 1. So we'll give it a few seconds here as we collect the computer collects the scores. We'll see how guys did there. There's Pop FPV back behind the line scoping things out. He's spotting for one of the pilots back there, but he's also new to us here this year. And in fact, I think he's only had 3 races there. He's still looking for his first 3 laps. He did get 3 laps in qualifying this morning. So, in the practice rounds, I should say. So we do expect maybe he'll be able to pull off 3 laps during the races. You know, the nerves may be a little bit more, it may be a little tougher to do in actual racing as Foggy Minded FPV coming back with his drone, maybe burning a battery as he's trying to, I guess the burning a pack is what you need to do, and you don't want to leave any residual charge in those. He brings it back to the desk. Let's meet our contestants in round, and heat number 2. It's Mr. Geek FPV in seat 1. That's Buckley Clark out of Anchorage, Alaska. He's 3rd place in season points at 106. AK Honky John Sam from Chugiak, Alaska. Seat 3, Davrick FPV, as you saw a couple weeks ago, just getting his first 3 consecutive laps. That's Davrick Erickson from Wasilla. And AK Drones, Ryan Martin from Wasilla, Alaska, with 62 season points. That'll put him in 5th place in the league standings overall. So right now it's a kind of a horse race for 2nd, 3rd, and 4th with Foggy Minded FPV with 128 points, Mr. Geek with 106, and FPV Maverick at 76 points. So the horse race is going to be for the bragging rights on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th place as we are ready to race in round number 2. Tone Sounds and AK Honky is going to be sitting this one out. It's Mr. Geek, Davrick, and AK Drones taken to the sky. We'll wait for the timer to proclaim the first one to cross the line. It looks very close to an AK Drones and Mr. Geek, although it does look like Mr. Geek has pulled ahead. Indeed, he has with the 22-second, and AK Drones only a few seconds behind him. Davrick still looks like he's having some trouble with the focus issues on his camera, as you may recall if you watched an earlier broadcast. Sometimes that lens seems to go a bit blurry, and AK Drones now on the ground. He's going to want some points, so let's get that thing back up in the air there. AK Drones with 1:12 to go. You should be able to get 3 more laps in. Nice fast ones as Mr. Geek continues to charge ahead. He's on pace for 6 laps as he's got a quad in his sights there. AK Drones on pace for 5, and Davrick on pace for 4. Mr. Geek, that time, a 20-second lap, as fast as a 17.888. So he's definitely ahead on that cutoff there of the 20-second lap that we are talking about being a fast one. AK Drones still pulling a 2nd place lap-wise. Just because you're 2nd doesn't mean you're not pulling in faster laps, especially after you've been on the ground and crashed. We might see in results that AK Drones actually can pull out faster laps even though he comes in behind Mr. Geek. We'll see how it is at the end of that race with 24 seconds to go. Davrick FPV has lost video feed. Not sure what's happened there. That looks like some kind of camera malfunction or some kind of electronic problem out there, as there was a telemetry from the quad, but it was giving some strange lines. So now it's Mr. Geek and AK Drones for the last 8 seconds of the race. See who pulls this one out. Both really blazing through here, so they're both very fast pilots. Either one could come home with a faster time here. Points for the season will be awarded after the round. The fastest for the round gets 10 points as AK Drones flies out to park his quad. Mr. Geek now finishing his last lap, and he'll be parking his quad. 10 points for first, 8 for second, 6 for third, 4 for fourth, and 2 for fifth, I believe is what we have there. And we'll, that's the end of heat number 2. And as we finish heat number 3, we'll have your results for the heat standings. It does take a few minutes for the computer to collate the scores here, as our web connection out here at the Jim Creek RC Park is not the best. We're out kind of in the wilderness area in Alaska here. A lot of all-terrain vehicles and all that kind of, not motorcycles. This is a place where they all come out to ride on the riverbed, the Knik River that leads up to the Knik Glacier. You can actually ride up to the Knik Glacier if you were to fly up above the tree line, which is outside of our flight box. But if you were to go outside that tree line, you'd be able to see the glacier. So far in round 1, it's Hazard FPV pulling down a time, best 3 consecutive of 40.3, Mr. Geek. 52, AK Drones 58, Foggy Minded at 106, and Davrick coming onto the board. He gets a 3 rounds as well, a 144. So one more heat to go, and we'll have the actual points to be posted to season here. So those are just preliminary points, as it's going to be Pop FPV and FPV Maverick making their way back to the flight line. FPV Drift and Princess, Pink Princess are not going to be able to make the first at least few rounds, as they've been called away, or FPV Drift has been called away. So here's how the third group goes. Seat 1 will be FPV Drift, Wes Frymouth from Eagle River. His daughter Pink Princess in seat 2, that's Brooke Frymouth from Eagle River, Alaska. They won't be in this first round here, but maybe later on. Seat 3, FPV Maverick. That's your third place pilot at season total is, or fourth place pilot, I should say, at a season total is 76 points. And Pop FPV is Billy Anderton, still looking to get his first 3 rounds in as well. So it's just going to be 2 guys out here flying right now in seats 3 and 4, as you see some a lot of grit getting into those motors. We got an air compressor out there. That's the sound you're hearing. Guys are kind of blowing out the sand from their motors to keep those things flying throughout the day. It's a pretty bad track out there that way. So the tone is sounded. We'll get that camera up there in just a second. We're distracted by the air hoses, and we forgot to cover the race, but now we've got an FPV Maverick and Pop FPV are up into the air. Pop FPV is going to try to keep it slow and steady to get those 3 laps, as FPV Maverick goes whistling by his FPV feed there. FPV Maverick looking like he's got a pretty solid line. He's flying with confidence out there. That is a kind of a collision point there, that double barrel. I don't know what we call that. There's 2 vertical double gates there. Pop FPV upside down. And it's not going to be on round 1 that he gets that top 3 consecutive. So we're going to cut away from him, and it's FPV Maverick now putting on a solo show. Let's observe his styles as he flies.
FPV Maverick in first.
So right there, that's going to be a bit of a collision hazard throughout the day in that double barrel gate system there.
Maverick in first.
So we don't have a graphic for this course here. It was, as I said, designed just this morning, kind of on the fly. So you'll have to kind of get used to how the course goes. There's the timing gate right there, and then this split S. With 30 seconds to go in the race, the best thing to do is to follow the cones on the ground. That kind of shows you which direction the pilots are meant to go. Any kind of experienced drone racer will know that, but maybe if you're new to drone racing, you'll see those dots on the ground. That's how you can kind of follow where the pilot's supposed to go. Even then, it is a bit fast. I'd like to say hi to everybody joining us today on the stream. Thanks for joining us. We hope you're enjoying today's race. You're welcome to make any kind of comments you like. We'll post them live as they go. FPV Maverick has finished his race just 6 seconds into the 2 minutes, and that's going to be it for him. Let's let the computer put some points together, and we'll see where everybody ends up on round number 1. We'll assign some points here. So you can see the pits out there. That's where the pilots are upkeeping their quads, getting all things charged. It's a nice day out there. We do have the canopies up for mostly sun protection. Not much of a threat of rain. The RV behind there is the broadcast booth. So there's your round 1 results. Hazard FPV pulls in 10 points for the season. FPV Maverick 8, Mr. Geek 6, AK Drones 4, and Foggy Minded 2. So those are your point leaders. Foggy Minded actually is the 2nd place. So FPV Maverick is going to be moving up a little bit there with his 8 points, and Mr. Geek moving down from FPV Maverick, but up from Foggy Minded. So that 3-way race we were billing is alive and well. Foggy Minded FPV with that 2-point turnout there under a little bit of threat as he goes in throughout the day. So here we are, round 2, heat number 1, FPV Slacker, Hazard FPV, Foggy Minded FPV, and RIM. There you see Foggy Minded now with 130 season points. That's only 2 up from his last one. Hazard FPV now solidly in command. I think it's unattainable now that to beat him, even if he doesn't race anymore. And well, actually it is. If he races no longer and Foggy Minded FPV makes 100 points, that would be 230 to Hazard FPV's 226. So Hazard FPV pretty much statistically and mathematically unbeatable on the season, as we got 3 pilots out there placing quads. Looks like who we missing out there? I think it's RIM is maybe still working on his quad, perhaps. Getting something going. There's somebody's phone in the foreground. So we're just waiting for RIM to find his quad out there. AK Drones in the foreground, pacing, waiting patiently for his turn to go fly. You can see some RVs in the background there over their right shoulders, or the left shoulders as they're looking at stage left. There was a campground back there, and as you pan left, that's Pioneer Peak, and to the left of that is the Knik Glacier, from whence the Knik River flows, just behind the tree line. It looks like RIM is actually at the pilot station. He's had his quad up and ready to go for quite some time, so thought we were waiting for RIM, but he's just been waiting for everybody else. So RIM has it all together. All he needs to do is get 3 laps under his belt, and he'll be on the point boards for the season. Foggy Minded doesn't look too excited just yet, but fear not. He will be adrenaline pumping in just a mere matter of moments as him and RIM catch up, exchange some gossip about the lines on the track out there, where best to make your turns and throttle up and throttle down. As Hazard FPV and FPV Slacker have now joined the flight line. The goggles are down, and folks, it's just about time to go fly once again for round 2, heat number 1.
Ready.
You may see some pilots swatting away at bees. Again, these are some ravenous bees out there today, so that is an added extra threat, or kind of a challenge for the pilots as they go flying. You're at their mercy when you're down under those goggles and thumbs on the thumbstick. Anyways, there's 4 quads up into the air cleanly, and we've got 4 racing. As per usual, Hazard FPV blazing through the course. He's going to be setting about 14 and under second times. Foggy Minded, he's wanting to beat in 22nd times. RIM is, just into the ground. Just judged that pullout a little bit too slow. It looks about the same place he went in last time. And FPV Slacker looking also for 3 laps. 3 laps may give you some points on the season, and RIM is out for yet another round. 3 more to go for him. We'll keep pulling for him. Put on those rally caps, folks. Rim would like to get at least a three-lap race in. So 14.314 seconds for Hazard FPV. That's improvement for him. Foggy Minded, however, a 23-second time. He won't be significantly happy about that one. FPV Slacker also has put in a lap with 48 seconds left in the race. Both Foggy Minded on pace for 6. Hazard blazing it out there on pace for 9 laps. This is a shorter course than the global qualifier, so you're going to see some faster times and more laps. It's just to the nature of this course. It's a little bit more truncated. Got some fun stuff in it, lots of twists and turns to challenge those pilots. Hazard FPV, that one a little bit slower, 14.375 as compared to the just sub 14 time he did last time. Foggy Minded on par at just over 20. So he's going to need to do better than that, Foggy Minded is, to guard that second place of his going into the rest of the day. With 5 seconds left in the race, Hazard FPV, no surprise, he's going to pull that one out, and he'll park his quad. Foggy Minded FPV and FPV Slacker, the only ones left out on the track. FPV Slacker says he's on pace for 5. I'd be very surprised if that was correct. He's usually on pace for 3, and he has caught some problems. He's flipped out and gone black. Foggy Minded FPV is parked his quad, and looks like FPV Slacker still working those sticks to see if he can get that back up into the air. I think he's on his 3rd lap, but we'll have to see. The last lap says 33 seconds, so maybe missed time. I'm not sure what happened out there. We'll see where the times end up.
Up next, race number 2.
So last 2 weeks ago, when we cooked up the hot dogs for lunch, that's when the bees really came out in force. It was just chaos and mayhem out there. People running around and swatting away at bees. And boy, it's just an extra challenge. When you get a perfect day like this, you got to have something to add into the challenge there. So Hazard FPV turns out a 42.722. That'll be a little bit slower than his previous one. Foggy Minded FPV, however, he pulls out a 104. That beats his previous time by about 2 seconds. So he's hoping that'll hold up as he goes, as the last 6 pilots come up in the next couple rounds. So here we come up to heat number 2, Mr. Geek. 112 on the season points right now after that 6-point performance. Mickey Honky still looking to get some points out there today. Daverick FPV, 144 for him, so he's looking pretty good. AK Drones, a 58.308, so he's going to be the one to keep an eye on today. He got a 4.1 last time, and he's going to be moving up the list as we go. Only 10 points behind FPV Maverick as I have it tallied right now, although I don't think I added in Maverick's times or last time. So there's AK Drones and Mr. Geek out there placing their quads. And we'll change this here for my reference here. Got the scoring computer to help me out, see who's out there and what kind of times they're getting there. Daverick FPV, I don't see a 3rd quad out there, so we made the mistake. There he is right there, Daverick FPV. Some last-minute adjustments from Foggy Minded there to get his son's quad up and running. Looks like he's working quickly. Hopefully everything's well connected. The battery's good to go. We've had a couple of battery separations out there throughout the season. And if that Velcro fails, that battery kind of hangs underneath the quad and eventually separates. So there goes Daverick running on out to the flight line there. He'll place his quad. As you can see, no dust out there, which is great. It was, that rain has helped out quite a bit, keeping the dust down. So again, just a gorgeous day. It's a fall day. The first day really feeling like fall out here in Alaska. It's been a hot summer. We've been up into the 90s, which is record-breaking. It's never been that hot ever. So we've got some hot days, and now the leaves are starting to turn. As you can see over Mr. Geek's shoulders, there's some yellow showing up. Higher up in the mountains, we get some of those oranges and purples. The fireweed and the tundra starting to turn color. So it's a gorgeous time to come out and be in Alaska. We've got 3 pilots now with their goggles on. John Sam calling the race, waiting for the tone. Tone sounds, we have 3 lifting off, 1 later than the other 2. Can't tell whose quad is whose, but we got 3 in the air nonetheless. Mr. Geek with a pilot in his sights. That's AK Drones just ahead of Mr. Geek. So a nice tight race right here. These guys are right on top of each other, going through that gate almost at the same time. Mr. Geek now pulling out slightly ahead of AK Drones, and he's the first one to pull time. Does say that AK Drones got a quicker time. Not sure how that is, as Mr. Geek got through the gate before AK Drones. But we'll keep an eye on this race. Those guys are neck and neck. AK Drones still hot on Mr. Geek's heels, as Daverick FPV slowly but surely making his way. And boy, he just got real close to another quad out there. It's hard to tell who it is, as there's so much action happening out there. You really got to pick one pilot and watch them, and then kind of so if you got a favorite pilot, I suggest just watching their feed. If you just want to see where everybody is, good luck to you. So right now it's Mr. Geek and AK Drones right in the same spot, as Mr. Geek ends up going wide, letting AK Drones by him. So AK Drones now getting out ahead. If this was a foot race, it is Mr. Geek actually now ahead of AK Drones. I'm not sure how that happened. I did see AK Drones go flying right by. So Mr. Geek now solidly ahead. So pretty close race here between the 2 of them. Daverick out there still charging ahead. He's hoping to get those 3 laps and possibly get a points on the day. So Mr. Geek tearing it up out there. We'll see if we can see one of his lap times posted. AK Drones, both of them are on pace for 7 laps, and it says AK Drones is slightly faster than Mr. Geek. In fact, AK Drones now ahead of Mr. Geek. Mr. Geek goes wide again, and AK Drones now pulls it off. So this is going to be interesting to see how those scores work. This has been just a great race to watch, as the 2 of them have just been duking it out neck and neck as they both go through the gate almost at the exact same time. AK Drones is going to go ahead and park his quad right next to Daverick as he parked his. Mr. Geek, so they all come down about together. Heck, that was a race, folks. Wow. So you might want to replay that one on your DVRs and just watch it individually as it comes out, because that was fun to watch. Mr. Geek and AK Drones duking it out for supremacy out there on the course. They are about 40 points apart on points. AK Drones having a little bit of a tough season, not finishing as many races. He is quick, but the way the scoring is set up on the season, it's all on consistency. So there it is, Mr. Geek beating out AK Drones by 2 seconds. That'll be a big points winner there. And Daverick FPV pulling in a 1:30.389. Let's just check and see how that stacks up for him last time. So Daverick did not finish last time, so that's his first 3-round race. Keep in mind, today's race, the winner is going to be based on the times. The points I'm talking about are for this season, so there's 2 races going on here today. As our video did stutter a little bit there, I'm keeping an eye on where things are, but it looks like we're back up and running. So keep in mind, the scoring for the day is points, and we got 2 quads up on the stands. Excuse me, the scoring for today is time, and for this season is points. The points figure in all the way down to the end of the year. The trophy is awarded on whoever gets the fastest time out there today. You get 5 chances to lay down time. So there we are into group number 3. It's FPV Maverick and Pop FPV waiting for a tone, and we got 2 quads in the air. FPV Maverick, also a very fast pilot out there, and also having a little bit of problem with consistency out there on the season. So the points are reflecting the lack of consistency, but the trophies reflect the amount of speed a guy is able to put down. So that one, a 22-second lap, a little bit slow, but it sometimes seems like that first lap, I guess since you're starting up off the blocks rather than from full speed flight, it's going to cut out a couple of seconds. So we'll see what FPV Maverick's second lap looks like as Pop FPV making his way through the course.
FPV Maverick in first.
Pop FPV also the rally cap's on for him as we want to see 3 laps from him, and he looks like he's going to go ahead and park it. I'm not sure what's going on out there. He's maybe got some problems with the quad. He's going to cut his losses and bring it on out. So once again, FP Maverick on a solo show. That last lap, definitely a much better 18.059. Now he's on par up there on the leaderboards. If you could keep that lap consistency, you're going to see him pulling in some points on the season. And once again, that best 3 consecutive of what takes home the trophy today. Also, when you're in a solo race, you don't have to worry about that collision hazard there at that double barrel gate. As he goes through the timing gate there and into the split S, back again we go into kind of a windy chicane thing to start another lap. 15.795 seconds on that one. This is a fast lap for FPV Maverick, so he is really cooking it out there. Working on beating that 51.692 as you see there on the bottom right of the screen. That's his fastest lap so far, top 3 consecutive. And he's got 84 season points. Still keeping him in 4th place for now. And he just about pulled off a epic landing there as he came out of a split S and just about put it on the mat. He just kind of second guessed himself and pulled it back into the air. But pretty cool looking landing there for FPV Maverick. So unfortunately no points for style out there. Maybe one of these days we'll be doing that. So that's the end of round number 2. We'll see if we can get some scores and some points together. FPV Maverick, of course, the only one to finish on that one, pulling in a 42.436. That's on par with Hazard FPV. In fact, that's faster than Hazard FPV. We'll have to check on that and make sure the computer's telling us the truth. But for now, it's FPV Maverick pulling it. Okay, there we go. The computer's corrected itself. So Hazard FPV had a 40.3 and FPV Maverick just behind him though. So 2 seconds. Mr. Geek there from this round with a 52, 10 seconds behind him, and 6 seconds behind him is AK Drones as we award the points on the race day so far. So sometimes that computer kind of jumps the gun and we get some bad times. So we've corrected that. I think on the round 3 we go. FPV Slacker. Hazard FPV now up to 234 points with the best consecutive of 40.3. Foggy Minded still in 2nd place now at 134 points with a time of 104.124. So he's going to keep sliding if he can't get those times up. Rim, on the other hand, still looking to get that 3rd lap in. So 2 attempts, and I don't think he's gotten a full lap in. Let's see if we can all root for him to get at least 2. And heck, let's just go for the whole enchilada. Let's ask for 3 laps for Rim out there. And always love to see a guy finish a race by landing it on the tarmac rather than having to do the walk of shame and pick it up out of the rocks and the grit. So we got 3 goggles down. Maybe Rim is having some trouble with his quad. It does look like we're about ready to race. So Rim is still working on his quad from last time. Hopefully he'll be back in the day. We'll see him back up on the blocks. For now, it's round 3 underway. So we're looking for Foggy Minded FPV to pick up his pace to guard his season points. This is a much different course. So as these pilots have been accruing points throughout the season on the exact same track, the Global Qualifier track, they've gotten quite used to that and really honed their times. Hazard FPV, of course, crossing the scoring gate first. Foggy Minded having a little bit more trouble getting this one dialed in, but his times are improving, so we do expect there by the end of the day we're going to see some very competitive times from him. FPV Slacker, still slow and steady, wins the race for him. He's still pulling in 3 laps and fairly consistently out there. He's definitely gotten faster also. He's not meandering nearly as he has been in the previous seasons. Every once in a while missing a gate fairly wide, but he's looking fairly fast. And it looks like he just got hit by somebody out there, because it looked like a quad just went whistling by his video feed, and he's got a choppy feed, so I'm not sure he's going to recover from that. He is able to control the drone still, so hopefully that feed will allow him to get back up in the air. With 30 seconds left in this race, Hazard FPV continues to pummel the gates as Foggy Minded FPV still in the air. Last time for him, 18.789, so he's got some pretty good laps going there. FPV Slacker's going to put up his goggles and call it quits with 15 seconds left in this race. It's a 2-man race right now. Hazard FPV trying to best that 40-plus second best 3 that he did before, whereas Foggy Minded looking to beat his previous time of 104, which he improved by about 2. There it is, 104, 124, just as I say it coming up on the screen there. He'll go ahead and park his quad on the tarmac, on the plastic sheet there, the tarp. And that's it for round 3, heat number 1, as times continue to improve. We're seeing much faster times out there. A lot of work being done there in the pits. Not sure, we don't see Rim back out there. Not sure if he's out of the picture working on his quad. You can see Pop FPV doing a little bit of work out there. Mr. Geek looking quite confident as we pan back to Pioneer Peak. A couple bees flying by the picture. So far, haven't noticed any problems with bees on the pilot cam there. But rest assured, they are out there, folks. It's pretty epic situation. That's me in that RV back there, happily sitting in a screened-in area away from all the bees. Round 3, heat number 2, it'll be Mr. Geek. 118 points for him. He's sitting at 52.112 on the day. AK Honky still looking to get his best 3 laps. I think he missed out on the last race there, excuse me. I'm not sure he raced on the last one. We got 3 quads on the stand. And a little bit of a false start, I think. Somebody got up early, although the race director hasn't called it. So I'm not sure who it was, or maybe it was just a delay in the video broadcast, but someone definitely got a good jump out there. It was the blue drone. See if we can't decide who that is. Mr. Geek, Daverick FPV, and AK Drones. Again, AK Honky, I think, having problems with his quad, so he's sitting out a second race here. Boy, a lot of crossfire over there in that double barrel. That's Mr. Geek watching. It looks like AK Drones again. It's a horse race for these 2 guys. They're evenly matched. It's great to see them sitting next to each other on the chairs, because we're getting some treats, folks, on the racing out there. Daverick FPV still looking solid. He's going to keep that moving right along. And just as I said that, sorry, Daverick, that was a jinx from the announcer, and he's hung up in the net. It's up to Mr. Geek and AK Drones now. And now it's Mr. Geek in the dirt as he spirals to the rocks. Black video, and that's going to be it for him. It's AK Drones on the solo show now. No competition out there for him to put down his fastest time, and he gets some trouble. So that's right in the middle of his 3. That's going to be tough to recover from, because with 30 seconds left in the race, he's going to have to lay down 3 laps after that first one. And people coming in just around the 20-second mark, he'd be lucky if he gets even 2 at this point. So he'll get 3 laps, but that last one will count if he can pull up a sub-20 on this one. Into the double barrel he goes. 12 seconds to go as he rounds the corner, looking for the start gate, and he just misses it wide. Here comes the start gate with 3 seconds left to go, and he'll get that 3rd lap. But keep in mind that one he crashed on and bobbled on is going to count in this one. So hopefully he got 3 laps before that. He's on pace That was a 20-second lap. See what his pace is if the score clock blesses us with that information. That one a much faster race, and with 6 laps, he'll have to hope his first 3 were better than his last 3 as he puts it right on that green cone. Perfect park job for AK Drones. We need to start putting points down for scoring, for parking, I think, because that was a very nice job for AK Drones. Daverick FPV and FPV Maverick. Daverick and Maverick, as you see a few bees flying in front of the lens there. They're looking at the monitor that you're looking at, looking for just this, these scores. It's Daverick FPV, the only one putting in a time on this one, 106.447, and he's the only one to finish it off. So that's the end of Heat 2, round number 3. We've got 2 more pilots coming up on this. Again, FPV Drift and Pink Princess still haven't made it back to the race course. They are signed up and they're ready to, they want to be racing. FPV Maverick at 94 points now. Pop FPV, just like Rim. Folks, let's put out the rally caps and get Pop FPV 3 laps behind him. Let's see if we can get him a season score as well. So getting ready, FPV Maverick has the goggles down. Pop FPV making a few last minute adjustments on his rig. Maybe changing antennas. I'm not sure what he's got on that side of the goggles over there. As you can see, Hazard FPV back there at the whiteboard. That's where we post the scores off the printer. So they're going to be checking the times. Let's listen in.
It's the one with the 40? It's the one with the 42, but it's got a 11-second lap in it. There must be a second messed up one, because I got a 40. You didn't get a 40. Sure?
So FPV Maverick and Hazard FPV, the 2 fastest ones so far. Look, comparing times. That put a little scare on Hazard FPV, I think, there when he saw FPV Maverick come in with that 40-second time, as FPV Maverick must have caught that on the screen when it came up, but that has been corrected. That's Hazard FPV with a 40-second time. FPV Maverick right now at a 42. So Hazard pacing impatiently back and forth, hoping that FPV Maverick doesn't beat that time. He does have it in him. And now we're ready to start this race. Another early start, and maybe it's just that the scoring, something a lag in the audio or something. I'm not sure that's what it is, but we've got 2 quads up in the air. Nonetheless, FPV Maverick charging through the gates. Pop FPV. Let's keep rooting for this guy to pull 3 laps out of this more complicated course. It's whoa, and just about a collision out there as FPV Maverick went cruising by Pop FPV as he's kind of positioning himself for the first of the double barrel gates. That's the spot where we do expect to see a little bit of conflict, and Pop FPV still working on that double barrel as FPV Maverick comes around once again. This last lap for him, 15.395. That's his fastest lap of this round, and he is hauling prop. He is through the double barrels. Let's see, Pop FPV now into the split S. So Pop FPV pulling off a lap there. He's on pace for only 2, unfortunately. If he stays in the air, he may not have enough time to get 3 behind him, but it's that double barrel that looks like it's giving him a little bit of trouble. FPV Maverick on pace for 7. That one a 14.584. Not sure that's going to be quite fast enough to beat Hazard FPV, but we'll keep an eye on it. He's on pace for, I think, 7 laps on this one, so he can have a throwaway at the beginning or the end. On pace for 8 now. That must have been a much faster lap as Pop FPV ends up upside down in the dirt, so we'll cut away and bring it back if he gets that right set up. For now, it's FPV Maverick. With 10 seconds left, he'll get it through the timing gate. 1 more lap for him. Now to see if he can get 1 more fast time to add to the total. He's hitting those gates with confidence, folks. Look at that as he's coming through there. That's some good flying right there on FPV Maverick.
done.
So he's definitely putting some pressure on Hazard. It's going to be 1-2 that way. His best consecutive 42 seconds. Let's see if he can't beat that. That's the end of round 3 now. And we'll be awarding points on the season. We'll see where we stack up as far as times as well in just a moment.
Race order is FPV.
Once again, we're monitoring your comments on Facebook. If you want to say hi, we'll pop it up on the screen here just to
Ram.
let the world know you're watching. And we're moving on into round 4, heat number 1. Here's the times. First of all, FPV Maverick not going to cut it. 47 seconds on that one. So in the round 3, it's Hazard FPV pulling off a 40-second lap. So that's going to be his best one. FPV Maverick 47. He gets 8 points on the day at Mr. Geek. A 52, and Davrick just behind him with a 54. So Davrick, look at him charging down the pipe. 54 compared to AK Drones. Way to go, Davrick. There's your standings on the day. It's 1, 2, 3, 4. Hazard, FPV, Maverick, Mr. Geek, and Davrick. And just to bring it off to the season, this is where we stand now. Hazard FPV on 246 points. Foggy Minded mathematically out of first place, but only 12 points now spread between him and Mr. Geek. And FPV Maverick making his way up at 24 points to make up Mr. Geek. So right now the horse race to watch is between Foggy Minded and Mr. Geek. It's a 12-point spread there. FPV Maverick, though, he's got the fast times today, so considering Hazard FPV to get 10, FPV Maverick will be probably pulling 8 points unless he can get a 10, sneak a 10 out of FPV Maverick. 8 points to 6 on Mr. Geek or Foggy Minded. He can slowly inch his way forward into the rankings. We'll keep an eye on that. We're on to round 4 here.
That's the spirit right there.
So 2 more rounds left for each of these pilots. The scoring trailer back behind us. We just got a new trailer to store all the gear. It's a pretty spectacular looking rig out there. We'll be bringing it to trade shows as well to do some STEM education. As sponsored by our great sponsors, Verizon, Holland America Cruise Lines, and a lot of other sponsors. If you want to look at our list of sponsors, we're happy to have them. If you're looking to sponsor us, we're happy to have you as well. Thanks so much to all those sponsors that makes all this racing possible. And a last minute problem there with Foggy Minded having a trouble with something out there. He's going to get up and readjust his quad out on the line. So we get some comments there from John Sam out there in the scoring van that we were just looking at earlier.
Don't panic.
FPV Slacker. In the new chair, we've had some discussion about what best chair to use while drone flying. You can see the chairs that Hazard FPV is in right now. Those armrests won't come down, so they've been getting in the way. Well, let's take a look and see where everybody is right now. This is your round 4 group: FPV Slacker, Hazard FPV, Foggy Minded FPV, and RIM. So Foggy Minded FPV, a little bit tougher time on this one. Looks like he's been beating his time by 2 seconds each time. He started off a 106, he had a 104, and now a 102. Round 4, well, will he go sub 1 minute on this one? We'll find out in just a second as the tone is just about the sound. Indeed it does. The drones fly off the ramp, and it's Hazard FPV pounding the props. Foggy Minded in the double barrel area, just as FPV Slacker makes his way into the same area. FPV Slacker definitely getting a lot quicker out there compared to his last couple seasons. So he's been hitting that practice sim as well, I do believe. Hazard FPV, if you watch his feed, you'll see where he goes by each one of these guys just right there. I'm not sure who that was, but It's kind of fun to watch Hazard FPV's speed as he just goes smoking by the other guys out there on the course. You can see how fast the guy is. Foggy Minded FPV, the don't panic sign comes up on him. He's upside down in the dirt, but he might need to panic because his season points are in jeopardy. And that's it. He's gone static, so round 4's in the books for him. It's FPV Slacker and Hazard FPV now out there on the course. Hazard FPV on pace for a 9 lap. That last one there, or his fastest one, the second one through 13.874. And FPV Slacker has gone dark. Although now it's come back up, so maybe he'll be able to resurrect that into the air. We'll find out. 30 seconds left in this race. Hazard FPV charging through the gates. FPV Slacker still trying to resurrect his course. Not sure how many laps he got in there. I think it was 2. It was 2. And he was doing nice. It was 37.127. He could have gotten 4 laps in maybe if he'd have pushed it. Hazard FPV, now the lone man left on the course. He'll fly it out there to the tarp, and not quite as stylistic, but he is on the tarp. No walk of shame for him. We'll keep working on those parking style points there. He was aiming right for that green cone. And that's it for round 4 heat number 1. Hazard FPV just shy of his best time there, 41.992. His best time will stand at a 40 point something. Let's see, a 40.831. 40.3 actually is 330 is what he got in his first round. So first round fastest, and still trying to claw his way back. We're on to round number 4, heat number 2. Looks like AK Honky still having trouble with that quad. That's the empty seat, would be AK Honky's. And so we've got our 3 racers here in heat number 2 with some goggles down. Mr. Geek looking to see if we can get a scorer in the box there. AK Drones and Davrick with their goggles down. There we go. So we had something going on in the scoring booth, and now we're ready to race. You see those drones kind of tilt up. It's a precarious thing to do. If you get too steep on that tilt, you go tumbling off that block. You get a false start that way. Most of the time the race director will give you a restart. As we got 3 quads into the air, and we're off and racing. Davrick FPV, a surprising time on his last one. And Mr. Geek now into the ground. That's going to be a big deal for him, as he's also trying to guard some points out there. He's going to want to finish this to get some points, and that's going to hurt him. AK Drones also in the dirt. So Mr. Geek, he's done on round 4. He's going to relinquish any kind of points on this one. That'll hurt season-wise. He does have some good points, though, some good times, I should say, for the day, so he may walk away with a trophy yet. For now, it's Davrick FPV and AK Drones out there on the race course. Davrick FPV just slices a post dead center, and that video, of course, goes dark. So that's going to do it for him. AK Drones looking to do the solo show, and he ends up into the gate, but he may have life yet as he does launch back into the air with 44 seconds left to go in a sub 20-second lap. That one is unfortunately going to count for him on the time that he gets on this one. That is a 30.58, so he will bring a faster lap home on this one, but you never know what you're going to get round-wise. Keep racing till the bell sounds, because you may still have enough time on this thing to pull off at least a few points, and that's what puts you further into the season. So AK Drones moving confidently through the gates now. Oh, a little wide on that turn, but he recovers nicely. Coming around onto the home stretch here. And through the timing gate, he goes right at the one, right at the 0 mark, and that'll finish him off.
The race is completed.
So he's still continuing on, because sometimes that thing doesn't call the race on you. AK Drones racing as though it's not done. So there he is through the race. he'll fly to the parking area there. Look for that orange cone, and no stop points on that one. So we're going to have to do some ranking system out here. We'll give that a out of 10. Let's I don't know, let's give that a 4 because he was pointing at the orange cone. AK Drones pulls out a 108.718. That'll be a throwaway for him. We'll have to see where that stacks up in round 4 at the end of the day there, or at the end of this next one. So round 4 results, indeed that does put him in second place with only 2 pilots left to go. It'll be Pop FPV and FPV Maverick. So he's going to be a little bit nervous to see if FPV Maverick can lay down a faster time or not for him. But it does look like AK Drones should at least pick up a minimum of 6 points. So on to heat number 3 we go. Pop FPV getting his quad set up as FPV Maverick. Looks like he's got his quad on the blocks. He'll just monitor how things are going out there. It's Hazard FPV in the foreground, comparing some notes with, I think that was Foggy Minded. I couldn't tell who that was. So FPV Drift and Pink Princess still not out there. FPV Maverick now at 100 even on the season points. He's got a best 3 consecutive time of 47. So I'm not sure what's going on with that point, sir, because he had a 42 earlier. So we'll have to see where we are on that. This computer could be a little bit iffy. We'll have some solid points for you at the end of the day. But Pop FPV, once again, still looking to get that best of 3 laps in. Not for lack of trying, he's out there. I believe Pop FPV was able to get 3 laps in during practice.
Race order is
So you need to do that in under 2 minutes.
Pink Princess.
So what does that come up to,
Maverick.
about 45 seconds or so?
FPV. Currently up. Race number 3.
Minimum
Race
time?
order is FPV Drift. Pink Princess.
So the
FPV
computer kind of going through the
Maverick. FPV.
lineup a couple of times
Currently
there.
up. Race number 3.
So
Race order
some
is
kind of weird loop going there. Someone
FPV Drift.
in the box might have been a
Pink
little bit
Princess.
aggressive on the button there to start the race.
FPV
So
Maverick.
wait for that to
Pop FPV.
talk its way through, and we'll be just ready to race here. Let's keep an eye on FPV Maverick as points are on the line and times are also on the line. So the bell sounds and we got 2 quads up into the air. FPV Maverick moving through the gates confidently. See how this one comes out for him. A little wide on that one. In fact, I didn't hear it pick up a score there. So that first one, no score on it as he crosses paths with Pop FPV in that double barrel. That's a dangerous spot. Good place to watch for some action, though. Pop FPV getting in the trouble on the first lap once again. I didn't see what he hit, but he's upside down, and it looks like he's going to keep that in the dirt. It's another solo show for FPV Maverick, and he clips a gate, and he's going to be upside down in the dirt as well. He'll call that a race. So no points for FPV Maverick. AK Drones will be happy about that. I think that's going to give him 8 points there for the season. We'll see where this ends up for times. See if anybody's bested their time here from earlier on in the day, and we'll see if we can get ranking of pilots here going in to the 5th and final round. Excuse me.
Foggy Minded FPV. Ram.
So round 5 is going to be coming up here momentarily. There's your round 4 results. Only 2 pilots finishing. Hazard FPV continuing his sweep, picking up 10, and AK Drones with that 108.718. As I said, finish it up. You never know where you're going to end up. That's 8 points for him. Race day wise, there's your standings. It's Hazard, FPV Maverick, Mr. Geek, and Daverick. I think those times are good.
Currently up.
So those are your top 4 going
Race order
into
is
the
FPV
5th
Platinum.
round.
Hazard
40,
FPV.
43, 52, and 54 are the times to beat going
Ram.
forward.
This is gonna do it for me, John.
So all pilots now have one more chance to lay down a time. This is their last chance to best their times and get some points on the season and hopefully get themselves a faster time than what they've got before and move themselves up on the leaderboard and maybe get a trophy. So there's no cumulative on the day. If you get a fast time, that's your fast time. So it can happen to anybody at any time as we move into Heat 1 around 5. As you see, Hazard FPV, his best 3 is 40 seconds. Foggy Minded at 102, 122. There's your point spread. We'll have to see where Foggy Minded is on season totals now, as he's been struggling today to guard that points against Mr. Geek and FPV Maverick have both been charging up the points ladder, although I don't believe either of them got any points on the last race. So we'll see where it all ends up, folks, as we have 3 pilots out there on the start blocks. You get a nice wide view. To the right of them, behind them, is the Talkeetna mountain range. That's kind of north-ish. And behind that is Fairbanks. To the left, as we pan around, is Pioneer Peak on the Chugach mountain range. So Butte, Alaska is kind of on the confluence of 2 different mountain ranges coming together, and that's where the glacier, the Knik Glacier, between those 2 ranges, pouring down and making this beautiful spot that we call the Jim Creek RC Park. That sand out there is glacial sand, so a lot of fine silt in there as it's pummeled ground dust from ancient glaciers that used to flow over this area not too long ago. As you can see, Foggy Minded FPV scheming with his son there, drawing up some plans in the sand, a la, street football. Okay, I'm going to take the drone. I'm going to go left around this chicane. You go right. I'm going to go right through the middle of that thing, and we'll call it a good race. Okay, son? Right, Dad? So something like that. I'm not sure what they're talking about out there, but we got some graffiti going out in the sand, and Daverick FPV is going to add to the graffiti, maybe to psych out some pilots as they fly over it. A picture of a giant wasp or something like that. I'm not sure. We haven't seen a lot of difficulty from those wasps out there. I've heard some talk of it, but out there on the flight line, I haven't seen anybody really getting into any trouble. As our camera goes haywire there, we'll cut to a different camera. Not sure what the holdup is. A little bit of discussion going on at the flight line there, placing the quads. It must be an issue with FPV Slacker's drone as he's racing back to make some adjustment on his quad. Yeah, whatever it is didn't take too long. He's back on his way out to the flight line. Our scoring truck has been aptly named the taco truck because it does look like a food truck with a window open on it. So everyone's ordering up tacos there at the taco truck. That's the scoring booth, so any references you hear to that is what's going on there. So Hazard FPV patiently waiting to lay down his last lap and last time. There we go, and FPV Slacker. Looks like it's just going to be 2 of them here on this one. As Rim, I think, is left. Not sure, maybe his quad broken. He's moved on. And there's Foggy Minded. So, okay, so we got 3. I didn't see his quad out there either. So Foggy Minded's long since placed his quad. And we've got 3 pilots now. Seated, goggled, and shortly with the thumbs in the air. Tone sounds, and we're on their way. 3 pilots in the air. Foggy Minded looking to get a better time this time around. This is his last chance. And Hazard FPV just trying to get more bragging rights as he's going to pile on and maybe get a faster time than he's had all day. Nothing wrong with trying to boost that time.
FPV Slacker in third.
FPV Slacker already through the start gate, although he did go a little bit high and wide on that double barrel. Not sure where which there, okay, I see the gate he's trying to go through there. As Hazard goes whistling by the bottom of his screen.
Hazard FPV in third.
Foggy Minded FPV on pace for
FPV
6.
Slacker in third.
As is FPV Slacker on pace for 6.
Hazard FPV in first.
Excuse me.
Foggy Minded FPV in second.
So Foggy Minded FPV having a little trouble out there. Looks like there's some glitching going on with his video. Hazard FPV Slacker is now in the dirt. Just 2 of them out there with 42 seconds left to go on the race. I think is that FPV Slacker hung up in the mesh in one of the gates. We'll see as Hazard goes by the next time. I thought I saw a drone, and we're not going to get that chance as Hazard's just made an uncharacteristic mistake. Foggy Minded also making a little bit of a bobble out there. So a tough race out there. Hazard FPV is going to call that one good. So he knows he's got faster laps behind him. Anything he puts down from here on out is not going to be fast. 3. Foggy Minded FPV, on the other hand, just wants to keep racing on that. FPV Slacker is back up. I'm not sure where he'd gone. He's on pace for 5, it says. So, again, I think there might have been a miscount, but we'll see. Oh, and Foggy Minded just whistling by FPV Slacker there in his FPV view. Foggy Minded will park his quad. Don't get to see the landing on that one. It looked like it was lining up for a good one. FPV Slacker now looking for the landing area. And, well, we'll give that a 2 as he misses the tarp altogether. And that's the end of the race for those 4 pilots right there. Hazard, Foggy Minded, Slacker, and Rem. Done for the day. Whatever points they've got will now stand.
Up next, race number 2. Race order is Mr. Geek FPV.
And we're moving on to
AK
heat
Honky.
number 2, the last
FPV.
race for the next group of
AK
guys,
Drones.
as they're being announced in the background. So Mr. Geek and AK Drones, certainly a threat out there to post sometimes that can get them a trophy. Daverick has also had a very nice day out there. After round 5 heat 1, there's your results. Hazard FPV turning out a 39.590.79. That's his best on the day. Foggy Minded didn't quite go sub 1 minute, but he did improve nonetheless.
Race order is
As Mr. Geek's turning out 52 seconds, Daverick's only a couple of seconds behind him. And AK Drones, his best, a 1:08. So I'm not sure if that Daverick is correct or we got like something's mixed up. And maybe AK Drones and Daverick that have got points mixed up. We'll have to check that before we go to the final scoring. And as we say that, distracted, we'll get to the camera on the FPV as the race is now underway. So all 3 of these guys, a bit of a threat out there for a trophy. We're going to want to see all of them keep their quads in the air and confidently moving through the
AK Drones
gates.
in first.
AK Drones drawing first blood out there.
Mr. Geek FPV in second.
So 21 compared to 26. The first lap is, and Mr. Geek takes his fingers off the throttle, goes flying wide. I think he had a B on him, and there it is. He is swatting at something there. There's your first indication of the insect invasion that was promised earlier, as in Mr. Geek's footage, AK Drones goes whistling by, and that B does end up being Mr. Geek's undoing as he ends up upside down in the rocks. And if he can't get that thing into the air soon, he's going to be done because he's 50 seconds to go. He's waving it off. It's full of dirt, he says. So Mr. Geek taking that last opportunity, and he'll get no points on that. Indeed, he does have a B harassing him out there. AK Drones now looking to lay down the points.
AK Drones in
It's
first.
his command now
Daverick FPV
as
in
Mr.
third.
Geek is going to relinquish points and maybe a best time out there. Daverick still looking confident moving through those gates. A little high on that one as he realigns and gets himself pointed in the right
AK
direction for the
Drones in
double
first.
barrel. AK Drones laying down some pretty fast times, 17.548. Faster than what Mr. Geek was doing out there. Daverick showing about a 39.620, so that's not going to get him into the leaderboards on this one. 4 seconds left to go. This is going to be the last lap for these guys.
Daverick FPV in third. Daverick FPV done.
So Daverick's done, and AK Drones will be finishing his last lap. The last one there, 17.437. Pretty good time for him. We'll see where that puts him at the end.
AK Drones done.
So Daverick with a nice landing out there. I can see one orange cone. Now the other orange cone is knocked down. And AK Drones right in the middle pointing away from the orange cone will give him a 5
Up next,
out of
race
10.
number
We have to
3.
work on that one. We'll get
Race
better at
number
that
is
landing assessment
FPV
later on
drift.
in the program.
Vincent.
As those guys are now done with heat number 3, round 5. This is the last heat of the day coming up at you. And it looks like FPV Drift has made his way back to the race course. Pink Princess still hasn't made it back, so she'll relinquish all chance of points and scoring today. But FPV Drift, it looks like he'll give one chance of putting something down. And there's AK Drones, a time of 54.385. That'll put him so far with second place on the round behind Hazard. So that's going to help him out. Race day wise, it's Hazard, FPV Maverick, Mr. Geek. So FPV Maverick looks like he's got a solid silver trophy there, second place. It's going to be between Mr. Geek and AK Drones. Looks like Mr. Geek indeed did edge out AK Drones. So they're both done. It's Mr. Geek pulling in third place ahead of AK Drones. FPV Maverick and really the only one left to go. So that looks like that's going to be at Hazard, Maverick, and Geek are your 1, 2, 3 winners today, unless something crazy happens there. FPV Drift pulls out a lap faster, or best 3 faster than 52.723. And you never know, Pop FPV could just have a sudden epiphany as well. So FPV Maverick will need to beat Hazard's time by about, or his best time by at least 2 seconds to pull up to Hazard. So we'll see what FPV Maverick could do. Maybe he can pull out a gold trophy. But we've got all the goggles down and we're just about ready to race this final lap of the day. And somebody launches straight up into the air. I think that was FPV Drift. Now he hasn't had all day to nail down this course, so we're going to see how he does out there as FPV Maverick
FPV Maverick in first.
obviously making first blood, and Pop FPV just not going to work today, unfortunately. He's going to end up upside down in the dirt. And FPV Maverick also tangling up with some obstacles out there. So he's banging about on things, and boy, it's just a reckless race for him. He was really trying to push it. He wanted to beat that 40. That actually it had to be a 38. That's right. Hazard FPV just turned in on his round 5. It was a 39.579. So he's going to walk away with a gold of the 39.579. It's a one-man show with FPV Drift, who is looks like the chair's moved around a little bit, so he's kind of off to the right in his picture there. You can see the reader board behind him. If you lean back in that big chair, you may not be able to be seen on camera as FPV Drift makes his way through the double barrel with 39 seconds to go in the race. The last drift of the day as FPV Drift makes his way around the course, looking to get 3 laps so he can post a time and potentially get some points as well. There's been a lot of crashing out on this round. So FPV Drift does stand a chance of picking up
FPV
some
Drift in
season
second.
points on this thing. So that a 48.829 his fastest lap. That was his second lap. So all he needs to do is stay in the air. He'll collect 3 laps and an official time. And if he's in the top 5, he'll pick up at the very least 2 points, if not more. We'll have to see where it all ends up. As time has expired, FPV Drift will now finish his last lap. And we are on the waning seconds of mystery course number 1 here from Jim Creek RC Park in beautiful Butte, Alaska. There it is. FPV Drift finishing off his with 3 laps, so that'll be official for him. Keep it on there to see how the parking job goes, and there we go. That was about an 8, I would say. That was directly on the orange cone, just a little bit off center. So one of the better parking jobs, he gets some style points for that. So here we are. We're gonna get the computer to tally points, and we're just about at the end of things. Let's see how everybody did for the day. Coming right up. So 2 weeks from now, we're going to be on mystery course number 2. It will be a different course, not the same one you've seen today. And here it is, round 5 results. AK Drones getting an 8 points. Foggy Miner and an FPV Slacker. I thought FPV Drift got 3 laps on that one. So we're going to have to look and see why that did not score 3 laps for him. But there it is from the race day standings. There's your leaders. Hazard FPV pulling in the first place trophy. Once again, FPV Maverick going home with the second place trophy. Just a few seconds behind Hazard, so not so bad for him. Mr. Geek FPV edging out AK Drones by 2 seconds, and Foggy Minded and his son finishing. There's the score that we were looking for. Maverick was mixed up with somebody else earlier. It's a 106 for him. On the season, Hazard FPV with a commanding lead, and here's how it's shaking out from here. Foggy Minded FPV pulling in enough points to keep a bit of a lead going for himself. Mr. Geek now a little ways behind him. FPV Maverick with a solid 100, only 18 points behind Mr. Geek. With 2 races left to go in the season, it's anybody's guess who the last 3 are going to be. Thanks for joining us, folks. We'll roll the credit for the sponsors, and we hope to see you again in 2 weeks.